Hi all. I'd just like to add my bit, if I may, on the devastating news. Wildman, aka Peter Mahoney, sad passing a couple of days ago. I've got to know Peter. I'd never really liked calling him Wildman. Got to know him quite well. Going to I've been to the studio this year about 5 or 6 times, and was due to be there this week actually. Obviously Sean cancelled because of Peter's health, but yeah, he was very infectious. Every time he was kind of this big, lovable character, and he every time you met him, he just literally grab you and give you a cuddle. He was very infectious to be around, great energy. I always found it really heartwarming when Peter used to say to me, he said, Jamie, he said, listen, he said, I'm honoured that you're going to do the book, and I don't want anyone else to do it. And yeah, I do you know something though? He wasn't, listen, Sean and Wildman, they've been I don't think social media or the podcast will be quite the same. He was literally, yes, Sean was the smooth, maybe charismatic guy in a suit, but in actual, if you read a lot of the comments, a lot of people were Wildman fans, and I can really believe Sean's statement when he said he was the realest, most fearless person. He was a very, very real character, and you got that off him in abundance. Even though I met him about 6 times, but he gave me a lot of advice. And you've seen the Sean cast, the Sean, my anxiety and all that, and Wildman actually gave me advice on how to deal with trolls, and he was very funny. He used to say to people, Jamie, I kill him with kindness. I says, I'm sorry my fat offends you. And they end up being my mate. And, listen, if Sean Atwood, I think, lives to 108, what is he, 51 now? I don't think he'll ever, I don't think he'd ever get a friend like that again. And I really feel for Sean, Peter's family, his cousin Hammy. They met when they were like literally 12. And when you have that bond, it's very special, especially when you get your 50s. They've literally been friends since they were swapping football stickers. And we've all read Sean's books. He flew Wildman over to be a bit of security, if you like. And Sean, we all know what Sean was. He's a brain walking on legs, and he could make money falling over. But I think they're kind of added to each other's team, if you like. And the stories of Wildman looking after Sean's crystal meth, and Wildman doing it all in and going missing for days on end and coming home with no shoes. Sean going to work, doing what he did in a shirt and tie and being this respectable English gentleman, English Sean as they called him, and he'd get home, and Wildman would be basically, he'd only been there like a day, and he'd turned his house into like some kind of crack brothel. There was pimps walking about, there was prostitutes, and he was just a really lovable, infectious character, larger than life. And I think, listen, Sean's getting a lot of flack, or he has done this year. And I've got nothing but love for the guy. I've got to know him quite well this year, working with him on a professional level. And and he's worth his weight in gold. And you can believe a lot of the silly nonsense on the YouTubes, your Instagrams. A lot of people don't know half the stories. Yes, Sean. We knew the story, the drugs and all this kind of stuff. Peter, he served his time, and I just think they were meant to meet in life. Carly and Jason, Batman and Robin, Ronnie and Reggie, Peter and Sean, and he's going to be greatly, greatly missed. And do you know something? I've had a lot of questions. I mean, it's like there's a lot of. I mean, he was trending yesterday on Twitter, and that's quite incredible to be so well known. And yeah, his missus, ex-missus, was Wild Woman, and you can just imagine some. I've had a little snippet, and I was very privileged and absolutely honoured to have been asked by Peter to do the book, which, yeah, it's we was due to come up in my house February, March time. One of Sean's guests was Paddy Maloney. Had him on the show, and he was absolutely inconsolable. He was in tears the other day when I told him. And we were looking forward to him coming up here, looking after him and having a beer. And sadly, God had other plans for Peter. But yeah, I just, my thoughts are with Sean Atwood at this time, his cousin Hammy, and all of Peter's family. A lot of people have contacted me last couple of days and said, something, we felt like we knew him. We've watched him for years, and that's what he was. Many of my mates would listen to the podcast, and they'd fall asleep. Listen, he was even if you never met him, you felt like you knew him, and I think that's I think that really much sums him up. Every time I would walk in the Liverpool studios, he'd just grab you and hug you. And my wife, basically, she said to me once, she meant to come a few times because I've been, 6 times in the last 12, 14 months. And she said, something, I only want to go to meet Wildman. And yeah, it's really, really sad. And when I told her the other day, or when the news broke, she was like in tears and she'd never even met him. So, I just, obviously the world's a funny place at the minute, and yeah, it's just literally tops the world off. And I know the few people have been doing podcasts yesterday, and the stories of him I think if he was here, he'd think it was hilarious, Listen, maybe I think Sean Atwood and the only really ones who were really close to Peter can probably judge that. The last time I was at maybe the second one last time, I was like, no, I don't want to drink, because Pete would always offer you cans. And he offered me one of this glass of wine, just disgusting country manor stuff. And on the way home, I said, right, I made Paddy Maloney stop off at this garage, got home mortal drunk, and I got home and said to the wife, well, Wild Man give me a glass of wine, what's I do? Stop. And he's going to be a huge, huge miss to everyone on the podcast. Listen, Sean's. I feel really, really sorry for Sean because he gets a raw deal, and us at Warcry Publishing, we don't trust many people, but we fully back Sean, and we're honoured to be working with Sean Atwood. And that guy, in my opinion, from my personal opinion, if I've known him for maybe 18 months, he's worth his weight in gold. And so's James English. They're my inspirations, because I've went to your Sean Atwoods, to your Wildmans, and said, how do you deal with the trolls? And, because I've had it, people taking the piss out of my anxiety and all this kind of... And Wildman, he was just a larger-than-life character. And he's going to be greatly, greatly missed. I really, really feel for Sean. I spoke to him on Sunday. He was in a podcast with one of my book subjects, Dominic Negus, and obviously Peter passed a little later on. And I can only imagine what you're talking about. Literally 40 years of friendship there. yeah, you know, he's, as I said, I don't think Sean will ever find anyone as compatible, and he's gonna be. I don't often swear, but he's fucking hugely, hugely missed. And I just want to say, um, you know, massive condolences to Peter's family and you, Sean. Thinking of you, Peter, my brother. God bless, and I'm gonna raise a glass to you. Um, yeah, and Sean, you know, I mean, I was absolutely honoured to been offered to do the book, and you know, maybe when the dust settles, maybe you should do a book in your best friend's honour. I know he'll be up there now, and he'll be saying, "Here, la, get it done." Do you know what I mean? But listen, Sean, all my love and respect to you. I'm 100% behind you. Um, I found it really interesting listening to David Macmillan's bit today when people said, listen, don't listen to the trashy comments and all this kind of thing, the trolls and all this kind of stuff. They don't even like themselves. You know, and you know, Sean's worked really, really hard, built up, and I'm a massive, put this on record, I'm a massive Sean Atwood fan, and yeah, big love to Peter. Fucking devastating. So he's going to be really hugely missed. So, Peter, God bless. And yeah, I hope you rest in peace. My love to Sean. And thank you so much. God bless.